My dad died in February 1997, and he was a great guy, great Christian man. He lived in Tucson back then, and Arizona law requires that a family member ID the body before cremation, and my dad was being cremated, and so I didn't want the rest of the family to have to deal with that. I've dealt with that kind of thing many times, and so I did that about an hour before his funeral service. I remember standing there looking at my dad's body thinking, that's where he lived for 70 years before he left for heaven. That's how I was looking at it. 1 Corinthians 5 verse 6 says this, "Therefore, we are always confident and know that as long as we are at home in the body, we are away from the Lord." Now, while Dad was at home in his physical body, he was away from the Lord. I know that when he left his physical body, he went to be with the Lord in his heavenly home, in his new home. He's living big in heaven right now. So how do we live before heaven? How do we live before heaven? Big question. 1 Corinthians 5 verse 7, the next verse says this, "We live by faith, not by sight." Listen to that. We live by faith, not by sight. Guess what we think? Guess what we think? We think that we live by sight because we live in a physical reality that can be seen here on earth. Wrong! We live by faith when we decide to follow Jesus. That's how we live in this world that's physical that we see. We don't live by sight, we live by faith. That's how the Christ follower lives. When we are away from the body, we will see the Lord and we will live by his light in heaven. We just don't see that now. So how do we live now? See, then we'll live by sight. But now we live by faith, not by sight. It's different. We trust God for the things that he has promised us in his heaven. That's living by faith. We trust God for the things he's promised us in his heaven. He has promised life that is eternal, where death is vanquished for good. Nobody dies in heaven. One of the biggest bummers in life is people dying. None of that going on in heaven, man. Only life. Death is vanquished there. He has promised his heaven, in his heaven, a new heaven and a new earth where there's only light, there's no darkness, there's no evil, there's only good, there's no tears, there's no death, there's no loss, only blessing and good in the presence of God. I don't see that now, but will then. I'll see it with my eyes. I understand and gain these things now by faith. That's how I live here, by faith. So how do I live before heaven? I trust God for his heaven then, and I do that in the here and now by faith. I trust and I rest in the assurance of heaven now. That's how you live. Hope you join me living that way. Trust Jesus with it. He'll handle it. I will talk to you soon. Have a great day. Hope you will make comments and subscribe to my channel.